Playing the game Black Myth Wukong, have you ever wondered who are these four? What is this Longs of Four Waters? Besides their awesome boss fights, especially the Yellow Long, what is their story? And also, who is this old man with a giant gourd on his back? Yuan Shoucheng? Well, the story behind it is rather very complicated, and it involved the cause of the journey to the west. You know, why the journey took place in the first place. So what is this journey to the west, and how did it happen? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jay the Storyteller, and I'm going to go through the famous Chinese novel Journey to the West with you guys. Today we'll continue from where we left off in the last episode, where Sun Wukong was trapped under the Five-Finger Mountain formed by the Buddha's hand. So it's easy to guess that eventually he broke out of it and joined the journey to the west. You know, otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation. And today we'll talk about the journey to the west itself. You know, what is it, and how did it begin at the first place? For the record, the cause of the journey to the west might be to your surprise, and there have been many theories arguing that this whole journey was just a complete scheme, and you'll know why at the end of the episode. Well, without further ado, let's begin. Sun Wukong was imprisoned under the Five-Finger Mountain for over 500 years. Yeah, that imprisonment was very long, and one day he finally had his first visitor, Bodhisattva Guanyin. As I mentioned in the last episode, Bodhisattva Guanyin is a very important character in Buddhism. Now, allow me to take a few seconds to explain what is a Bodhisattva. In Buddhism, Bodhisattvas are sages who are on their way to become a Buddha. So basically, Bodhisattva is the second highest rank in Buddhism. Very powerful beings with one step away of being a Buddha. Even though it's just a step, it's very, very challenging for a Bodhisattva to attain Buddhahood. And Guanyin was the most respected and worshipped Bodhisattva. And also, there's a funny fact about her. In a traditional Buddhism belief, Bodhisattva Guanyin was actually a male. But over the years, the image of Guanyin gradually developed into this merciful, loving female image. And that is true DEI right here, guys. A good god can be whatever the gender that his or her believers need it to be. No surgery needed. Nah, just kidding guys. Anyway, back to Wukong. Wukong was so happy to have his first visitor, and he was like, "Good Bodhisattva, please get me out of here. After 500 years, I've learned my lesson. I'm a new, different Sun Wukong right now. Please just give me a chance and show me the path." And Guanyin replied, "Well, in that case, I have the perfect job for you, Wukong. I'm actually on the way to the east to find a scripture collector by the Buddha's order. He will make a journey to the west to retrieve the scriptures from the Buddha. Are you willing to join Buddhism and be his disciple to protect him through the whole journey? And the true path lies beyond it." You know, Sun Wukong didn't really have a choice, so he was like, yes, I do. Guanyin said, "Good. Just wait here, and you will know it when the scripture collector comes." And Guanyin left with her disciple to the east, the great Tang Empire. Then she disguised as an old monk to walk around looking for the right scripture collector. And by the way, even though she seemed to be sacred and glorious, Guanyin was actually a huge cosplay lover, and you'll know why in the future episodes. She was really into the roleplay stuff. Nah, jokes aside, Bodhisattva Guanyin actually selected other people for the journey as well. Zhu Wuneng, aka Zhu Bajie, Sha Wujing, aka the Sand Monk, and the Sunshine Rainbow Little White Horse. Dee 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 da. Sorry, I got carried away there. Anyway, they were all celestial gods who had made mistakes and punished by the celestial court. So they were assigned the duty to complete the journey as their atonements. And we'll talk more about them in the future episodes. Right now, let's focus on the journey to the west. You know, what is it and why did it happen? Because it's a lot more complicated than simply the Buddha's order. It all started from a simple conversation between a fisherman and his woodcutter friend. One day the fisherman shared his secret of catching fish. He told his friend, "There's a master fortune teller in the city nearby, Chang'an. He's so good that he knows everything. He will tell me when and where to fish, and I simply just do what he tells me to. And every time the catch is excellent. And all he asks for in return is a golden carp every day. And that made me rich." Their conversation was overheard by a patrolling yaksha of the Jing River Long Palace. He very soon reported this to the Jing River Long King. And this Jing River Long King is the father of the Longs of Four Waters that we fought in the game Black Myth Wukong. If you have played the game, you probably remember what the Yellow Long said, that his father died for the journey and he wanted to avenge for his father. So what exactly happened to this family? Let's continue. After hearing the report, the Jing River Long King was angry. If that fortune teller keeps doing that, sooner or later there'll be no more aquatic clan left, which is bad for the environment. How dare you! You know, the Long Kings are actually celestial gods, and the aquatic clan in that region served them. So he was like, this cannot continue like this. I'll put a stop to it. Then he transformed into a man to go see this fortune teller, Yuan Shouchen, Mr. Yuan, to see if he was really that good. And if he was, tell him to stop. He made a grumpy approach. He made a bet with the fortune teller, Yuan Shouchen, regarding the rain of the next day, because Yuan Shouchen said all the details about the rain of the next day. When Jing River Long King asked him, when and where it's gonna rain and how much would it rain precisely, he even got to the inches of the rainfall, and it was incredibly specific. The Jing River Long King was like, this is my profession, man. As a Long King, it's my duty to regulate the regional rainfall. No one knows about the rain better than I do. So he made a bet with Yuan Shouchen. If the rain did come as he predicted, he'll pay him a lot of money. And if it didn't, Yuan Shouchen must quit this fortune-telling business and leave Chang'an City. And back home, he was like, easy, bros. I have the power to control the rain. There's no way I lose that bet. Then, the messenger of the Jade Emperor came, carrying the Emperor's decree with the order to make it rain the next day. And the hours and the rainfall are exactly like Yuan Shouchen predicted.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Usually the Long King has the power to regulate the rain by himself, to increase or decrease the rainfall. And he had the liberty to decide when and where to rain as he saw fit. But all this had one condition, without the decree of the Celestial Court. If the Jade Emperor did issue a decree, he must follow the exact details on the decree. Otherwise, it would be considered defying the Celestial Court, and the punishment is severe. But he still wanted to try his luck. He was like, I'm just gonna slightly change the hour and the amount of the rain. Shouldn't be a big deal, and I can still win that bet. And he did. Right after the rain, he went to Yuan Shouchen. He was like, you fraud, how dare you still stay here and fooling the people? Pack your stuff and leave immediately before you get into big trouble. Yuan Shouchen was like, I'm not in trouble, you are. You are so dead, man. You can fool other people, but you can't fool me. I know you're the Jing River Long King. Now that you have defied the Jade Emperor's decree, you will be beheaded, and there's no escape from that fate. The Long King was scared. He begged Yuan Shouchen to help him. He was like, good sir, Mr. Yuan, now I know I'm terribly wrong. I'm so sorry. Please, guide me a path of survival. Please, save my life. Yuan Shouchen replied, the Celestial Court will ask Wei Zhen, the Prime Minister of the Tang Empire, to execute you. If you want to live, go back to the Tang Emperor and ask him to spare your life. Then maybe you can survive this. And by the way, this emperor is one of the greatest emperors in Chinese history, Emperor Taizong of Tang Dynasty, Li Shiming. Under his reign, China was one of the most powerful countries in the world at the time, if not the most powerful country. So yeah, he had been considered to be a hero by bringing security and prosperity to the people. Anyway, just wanted to let you know who he was. Back to the story, the Jing River Long King visited the emperor in his dream, and he told the emperor what happened and begged him to save his life. The emperor was like, no problem, man. I'll help you to get through this. The next day, in their daily imperial court audience, Taizong asked, where is Wei Zhen, which was the prime minister that was supposed to be the executor of the Long King. He's not here. Someone go get him. It's funny because Wei Zhen also had a dream. In a dream, there was a sacred crane and an immortal from the Celestial Court coming down here with a decree to name him as the executor of the Jing River Long King. And that's why he was late for the audience. He was practicing the sword. After he arrived, Emperor Taizong asked him to stay because the execution was supposed to be at high noon. And the emperor thought that keeping Wei Zhen with him should interfere with the execution, and the Long King would be safe. So Taizong asked Wei Zhen to play chess with him, to stall time. And very soon, Wei Zhen just fell asleep. And Taizong thought, he must be too tired from thinking about all the matters in the empire. A true pillar minister. I'll just let him catch some sleep. As long as I keep him here, I should be able to keep my promise to the Long King. What he didn't know was that the Celestial Court's decree asked Wei Zhen to behead the Jing River Long King in dream. So as you can imagine, his spirit left the room already to the long execution ground, and the Jing River Long King was already captured by the Celestial Court. So after all the efforts, it still happened. The Long King was still beheaded. So naturally, there have been some conspiracy theories that the celestial court actually wanted him to die, for the greater plan. Because this happened all too easily and too fast, as if the court was watching his every step. But anyway, that's just an unofficial theory. And maybe after watching this episode, you have your own opinion on this, which is perfectly fine, That's what stories and novels are all about. Everyone can have their own opinions. Anyway, after seeing the head of the Long King and the report of Wei Zhen, Emperor Taizong knew they failed. He was like, well, maybe it was meant to be. I've tried my best and still couldn't save him. And he actually got a little sad because of that. He promised to save the Long King, but he couldn't. But on the other hand, the Jing River Long King didn't see it like that. He thought the emperor lied to him. So his ghost was haunting the emperor at night. And he was gonna kill the emperor for revenge, taking the emperor's soul to the underworld with him. Fortunately, Bodhisattva Guanyin stopped him. But after that, the emperor just couldn't sleep at nights. He had the feeling that he was surrounded by the ghosts. And he told this to the other people. And his two generals, Qin Shubao and Yu Chigong, the war heroes, they volunteered to guard the palace gate when he sleeps. And Wei Zhen, the prime minister, was to guard the back door of the palace. And it was very effective. No evils dare to come near. Because as generals, they've killed a lot of people in the battlefield, which gave them this menacing aura. That's terrifying to evil beings. When the evil spirits see them, they'll be like, ooh, these dudes ain't playing around. Better stay away from them. And that's how Emperor Taizong got to have his good night's sleep. But he was a good emperor. He felt bad that he himself got to sleep and his generals had to stay up all night to guard him. So he ordered the imperial painters to paint the portraits of the generals, put them on the gates as a substitution so that they could also rest. Now, if you are familiar with Chinese culture, you'll know what this is. Yeah, the gate guardian gods that we put up on our doors. They have the function of repelling evil spirits, as well as inviting blessings to the house. Now, notice this tradition actually began many years before the novel Journey to the West. The belief of the gate guardians had always been there because of the folklore and obviously the Journey to the West. Qin Shubao and Yu Chigong, two true historical figures, joined the club of the gate guardians. And they were much easier for the people to accept because they were once humans too. And for the folks, they were more down to the earth and easier to approach compared to the high above gods. And that's why over the years, many famous historical figures have been deified as the door guardian gods. For example, the famous warrior Guan Yu and his sworn brother Zhang Fei. Here you can see there is something unique about Chinese culture. We often deify and worship the real historical figures for their outstanding reputation or quality, such as loyalty, courage, righteousness, etc. But anyway, let's get back to the story. Sorry for being off the topic, just wanted to introduce the Chinese culture a little bit to you guys. So back to Emperor Taizong. Even though he stopped seeing the ghosts, the first encounter still caused a huge damage to his body that he died. Long story short, his soul went to the underworld and met with the Yamas. And the Yamas actually greeted him with respect because he was the emperor of the mortal realm and the Yamas were just mid-level managers of the underworld. The Yamas held a hearing because the Jing River Long King accused Taizong for promising to save him, then killed him. So they asked Taizong about the case. And Taizong explained to them what happened. And the Yamas were like, yeah, we know that. It was already written in the Book of 11 Death. We just wanted to make sure. You're free to go, Your Majesty. But there was just this one tiny little problem. As the judge, Cui Jue, was browsing through the Book of Life and Death, he found out that the emperor had no life left, which means he was really dead. And by the rules of the underworld, he could not return to the mortal realm anymore. And this Cui Jue, when he was still alive, was actually an official of the former emperor, Taizong's father. And he was like, I cannot let this happen. I'm gonna help my emperor. Then he changed the record on the Book of Life and Death, added 20 more years of life to Taizong so that he could return to the mortal realm. But on his way back, Taizong was surrounded and haunted by the lingering souls caused by wrongful deaths. Those souls suffered wrongful deaths and they cannot reincarnate until their grievances are resolved. With the help of Judge Cui, Taizong kind of made a deal with the souls. They let him pass, and upon return, Taizong will host a grand mass of land and water to liberate these souls and bring peace to them, which he did. He gathered all the respected monks in the empire to chant the scriptures to appease the dead. Among them, there was one most respected monk, Monk Xuanzang. He understood the scriptures better than any other monk, so that he was qualified to preach the others. And during his preach, the old monk that Bodhisattva Guanyin transformed into stepped down and said, "Oi, monk, the scriptures that you preach are the Theravada Buddhism. They cannot appease the dead. Only the Mahayana scriptures can appease the dead and resolve all grievances." The emperor was like, okay, where are such scriptures? The old monk replied, "They're at Thunderclad Temple Mount Lingshan in the west. That's where the Buddha is. And Xuanzang volunteered to go to the west to retrieve the scriptures. And he even made a vow that he will not return without the scriptures. Taizong was so happy. He named Xuanzang his imperial brother. And he even granted him the name of the empire as his last name, Tang. That's a very high honor. And that's why he was also called the Tang monk. And then Bodhisattva Guanyin just revealed herself and left because she got what she came for. Finding the right scripture collector, just like the Buddha ordered. And it was time. Emperor Taizong was sending off Xuanzang, and they were gonna have this final toast. But the emperor picked up the dirt from the ground and put it in Xuanzang's cup. And Xuanzang was like, "What the fuck, dude?" Nah, he didn't say that. The emperor told him, "This is gonna be a very far journey, and it's gonna take years. I want you to remember this. Treasure your homeland's soil, however slight. Never trade it for a stranger's gold, however bright. Don't forget where your home is, my brother." After understanding what the emperor meant, Xuanzang left. Ladies and gentlemen, the journey to the west. Everything started from here. As Xuanzang began his journey, that concludes our episode today. Like I said at the beginning, there have been many theories arguing that his whole journey was just a complete scheme, because it was all about Buddhism trying to spread to the east. And some even argue that his whole Emperor Taizong going to the underworld was just a part of the scheme, to make the emperor believe in Buddhism, hence the journey. And also, another reason that people thought this was conspiracy was because of the true identity of monk Xuanzang. He was actually the Jingchanzi, the gold cicada, a disciple of the Buddha himself, which was why he was selected to be the scripture collector. I mean, considering all those details, it did seem like a scheme, right? But again, stories and novels are something that you should have your own opinions about. So, conspiracy or not, I'll leave you guys to decide. But don't jump to conclusion just yet, guys, because there are a lot more stories ahead along the journey. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss the future episodes. And it will mean a lot to me. Thank you.
Nice.
So who exactly is this Xuanzang character? And also, how did Sun Wukong break out of the Five-Finger Mountain? 欲知后事如何，且听下回分解。